Yo, what is up? Man, it's been a crazy week. It all started out Thursday. I got food poisoning at home. Got some bad chicken casserole, right? 12-hour bout of the bubble guts, throwing up, all the nine. Friday, I recuperated. I was cool. Stopped by Taco Bell, got me a bean burrito, put some protein in my stomach. Felt good. I was cool. I was cured. Saturday morning, got up for the 3-day weekend, drove to Fresno to go kick it with my parents, right? Why is it when I get to my parents' house, the first thing we do as kids, we go through the refrigerator, ooh, mama baked some greens. My parents are in their 80s. Sometimes things slip their mind. And if you leave greens out too long, or cabbage, within 4 hours is bad. From the time that you cook it and it cools off, within 4 hours, bacteria grows on greens and cabbage. I ate a small portion of greens. This brother got food poisoning twice within 48 hours. It was so bad, my cousin had to take me to Kaiser hospital. She's a trooper. She spent the whole time there with me. I was done. I was yelling at the top of my lungs. I have no voice because I was yelling. I was in so much pain from the dry heaving. And then if you have any other symptoms, whether it's high blood pressure or diabetes, it stirs it all up. Your blood sugar's out of control because you can't hold no food down. Your high blood pressure's up because obviously you're overexerting, using your stomach muscles and your throat muscles, your chest muscles. And my charts were off the charts. High blood pressure, sky high. Blood sugar over 350 plus, man. I should have died. They got me in there in the ER. Got a brother on a gurney. Had me in the hallway for a couple hours. They got some IVs in me and some morphine. Brother, they had to use morphine. I was in so much pain. I thought I was going to die. A little later on, had an incredible nurse. And Fresno, the nurses, hey man, they off the hook out here. They take care of her, brother. They attend to your every need. Excellent professionals. Man, they made a brother feel comfortable when I was very, very uncomfortable in unfamiliar territory. They healed me, willed me back to life. About 6 hours later, me and my cousin, we go pick up my prescription from my local CVS here in Fresno, but we went and got a bean burrito, put some protein back in my body, and they prescribed metformin, which is for pre-diabetic or people who are diabetic. Diabetes run on both sides of the family, my mom's side, my dad's side. High blood pressure runs on both sides of the family, my mom's side, my dad's side. So I have to be extremely careful, keep my weight down, stay in shape, exercise. But if you're predetermined to have it, you're just predetermined to have it. So they prescribe metformin. Let me tell you something, black folks. Doctors, I don't know what it is, they prescribe metformin for all black people with diabetes. It is worse than having diabetes, the side effects. The side effects is throwing up, diarrhea, and very, very, very rough on the stomach. Well, I took it. My cousin said, cousin, you got to do something. You got to keep your blood pressure and your blood sugars down. So I listened to my cousin, she's right. I took one pill and I had some pistachio peanuts for some protein in my body. It was like having a third episode of food poisoning. That metformin pill tore my ass up. It was so bad this time, my parents had to call 911. Ambulance came to my parents' house, picked me up. I'm screaming and kicking. Never been in as much pain. My stomach is inflamed. It hurt to breathe. It hurt to talk. I got paramedics asking me questions. What's your first? What's your last name? Date of birth? It hurt to talk. It hurt to breathe. And just to breathe normally, it hurt. Imagine going, it was like being punched by Mike Tyson over and over and over and over while you're drinking acid. It was that bad. They got me into the ambulance and look, Get some IVs in me, please. Give me some morphine. I need it. This time, I was in the hospital for 3 days. Yeah, 3 days. Plus the night before, I went the first time. So I've been in the hospital for almost a week dealing with this. And shout out to the women and men at Kaiser Hospital in Fresno. You guys are excellent. I thought I was going to die. But this story is not about me. It's about John. John was my neighboring patient. We shared a room together. John was 86. I got to know his wife. Me and John never spoke, but there's only a curtain separating us. So I heard every conversation he had with his wife and with his doctor. John had gangrene on his foot, heart failure, kidney failure, lungs were done. He spent most of his time in that room coughing up phlegm. He had pneumonia. John was out of here. Social workers came by, people came by from other neighboring businesses that he used to attend to, because when he checked out at Kaiser, he was going home to die. And it's weird hearing all these personal conversations being taken place 10 feet from where you are, but you can't see anything because there's a curtain. I see his wife walking back and forth pacing. We made eye contact. We spoke a few times. She's crying. She's about to lose her husband. They have 2 kids, grown kids, but they're nowhere near Fresno. And they lived in the Madera area, which is about 40 minutes away. Their kids lived in Southern California. The other one lived in Northern California. So these decisions are being made by the wife. And they're talking about, well, what do you want to do? Well, there's only one thing you can do. Come home to die. People came in and talked to him about, so have you made plans about your funeral? This man had not made no plans about nothing. He wasn't expecting this. And he had an Asian doctor, and he was very nonchalant. Not that he was rude or anything, but he was very nonchalant. He's reading his charts. Okay, John, you have gangrene on your foot. When it dries off, this part of your foot's going to fall off. We can't save the rest. I'm sitting there going, damn. His wife is walking back and forth and crying. John is coughing up phlegm and stuff. I mean, just had a machine connected to him to cough up phlegm. He could not go to the restroom on his own. He was connected to a bag and everything. And let me tell you, man, the smell of death is horrible. I can smell this man dying. I can smell his insides coming out through his pores. Everything he had was shutting down. Couldn't hold down food. This man was drowning, drinking cups of water. Let me explain something to you. His lung condition was so bad, if he drunk more than a sip of water and it went down the wrong pipe into his lungs, he would have drowned in his sleep. He had to make sure he took a sip of water and made down the right pipe into his stomach so he can just have nourishment to survive how many days he was going to survive. It was the saddest thing I've ever heard. Didn't see it, heard. Now, when the doctor was reading his charts and pulled up his x-rays, and they had one that was a motion sensor one, I can see it from where I was sitting at and watching this man skeleton drink water and go down the wrong pipe into his lungs. I'm like, wow. Within 15 seconds, you don't realize it till it's too late. To see that on the screen was humbling. Then later on the day, before I checked out, I discharged, all of his brothers came by. You know why they came by? To say their goodbyes. He was out of here. They were talking about hospice. That was the next best thing for them to do, is hospice. They're making plans for that. Well, the wife lived by herself. She couldn't take care of him. This man was dead weight. He couldn't walk. He couldn't stand. When the nurses would go in there to change him or to flip him over, they had to wear like ET suits, like you're going out in space. He was contaminated. They had to put on gloves, these body suits, his mask, just to go roll him over or stand him up in the bed. He was contagious. He haven't had a bowel movement in a couple of days. They stood him up. He had a bowel movement. Of course, it was horrific. I know things about this man personally. Within 48 hours, I've been knowing a YouTuber for 5 and 6 years. I knew more about him than I knew about these people within 48 hours. It was intimate. Late night, I'm up, laying in bed. I can hear him barely breathing, choking on his own spit, drowning on his own fluids. He's yelling out names out of nowhere. It was a humbling. I was watching a man's immortality come to an end. It makes you think about your own life in different perspective. How long we got to be here? What is your legacy while you're here? Have you made plans in case you check out of here? He started talking to the people like, well, I want to be buried with my mom in San Jose, this. So you want to be cremated? So you want to, he was like, yeah, I guess so. It was crazy. It was crazy, man. And you can only have 2 visitors at a time in a neighboring room. And a lot of family members came to the point where they moved him out. And the first time I seen John was when they wheeled him past my bed to another room. We made eye contact for a second. And I felt his immortality leave his body. It was tough. But I will say this, that time I spent in that hospital was a humbling experience, and hope I never see nothing like that again. So, again, this wasn't about me, it's about the gentleman I shared a bed with in the same room, not the same bed, same room. Got to know everything about this gentleman and never said a word to him. And I can still see his wife face as clear as day, all of his brothers. And Maria, the nurse that took care of me, and John. John wasn't her responsibility. She volunteered because it took 3 people to move his body around when they changed his bed. Maria, you're one of the most incredible angels I've ever met on this earth. You willed me back to life. When you first seen me, I was at my worst. And when I left that hospital, you willed me back to the person I am today. The only thing I have to show for it is a husky voice because I lost my voice from yelling and screaming. That's how much pain I was in when I entered that hospital. Maria, your staff, the doctors, everybody at Kaiser Permanente in Fresno, thank you. And my cousin Christy happens to work there. So my cousin came to see me. My other cousin came and see me again, check on me. I have family members drive 3 hours away to come see me in the hospital. I got a lot of love because they thought I was out of here. But I'm still here. My mission is not complete yet. So thank you for listening. And enjoy every single day of life like it's your last, because you never know. Peace. I'm out of here. Until the next episode.